Hey everyone, this is Jeff with Startup Junto. We have today another founder interview for you guys. Today I have with me James Corbett with First Responders Live. James, welcome on.
Hey, how you doing?
So James, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Hey everyone, it's James Corbett with First Responders Live. And we are building, hopefully, the future of communication between residents and police.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And other first responders.
Yeah.
We want to break into fire departments and even beyond that. So.
Yeah. So James, why don't you just give the viewers a little more information about First Responders Live
For sure.
Your mission and goal.
Sure. So our mission, as simple as it is, help first responders reconnect with communities. And we really think that actually starts from within the department itself. But we did build tools to automatically help, immediately help police reach out through video to residents through social media right now. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, where did you even begin, for this idea, for this app?
For sure. So we started really thinking about this, maybe First Responders Live, that is, like a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
But we did have beginnings elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts a few years ago. I was at Columbia University, where I ended up dropping out. Sorry, Columbia. I need more money. But the reason why I did is because I saw an opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I had a great professor, Peter Coleman. Peter Coleman studied and wrote books on it, actually, intractable conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
Go buy his books. I'll help you out, Peter.
So what does he write about?
So literally conflict,
Yeah.
right? Conflict resolution. It's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely something that's important.
Huge.
For everybody.
Huge,
So.
very important.
Cool.
It is, I think conflict is looked at wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that conflict's important, right? Remember that conflict is important even in the workplace, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it allows people to open up and express their feelings, even if it's like they're going a little bit, off the wall a little bit. But if you can
Mm-hmm.
sit back and just let them vent and
Mm-hmm.
hear them out, not only are you better as a person, like
Mm-hmm.
just listening to them,
Yeah.
but you actually let them be a better person too by just getting it out and getting their feelings out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in a startup too,
Yeah.
emotions might run high because sometimes you have a lot on the line. You might have had a lot of, not just your personal time invested, but you might have some savings or, all of your money invested. So being able to work with that conflict is definitely important.
Yeah.
And be ready for it before you get into it.
Yep.
But then conflict is great for idea generation as well.
For sure,
So,
that's right.
Letting other people talk their ideas, and it can completely conflict with your idea. But it's great to hear other people's ideas.
Yeah.
So continue.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's a part of conflict for sure.
Yeah.
So with the idea generation, right, and people giving their ideas, think about that in the first responder world between residents and police. I mean, like, come on. That's what they work in, is conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically the idea is if we can familiarize the officers with the residents and the residents with the officers, meaning two-way communication,
Mm-hmm.
we think that we'll see a whole new world in terms of how interactions occur between police and residents.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting out small, baby steps before we start running, right? Baby steps, then you walk, and then you run, right? That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
We're at the very first baby steps.
Yeah.
We built the portion of the app where it's almost like, think of like Hootsuite, but mobile,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, because officers are always mobile, so they can create a quick video, give an update, and it'll go to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we have right now.
Yeah.
That's a free product for police currently.
Oh, that's awesome.
What we are building now, though, too, is an internal communication tool and task management. So internal communication, task management for police,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we have an admin platform accessible on browser, and we have the mobile application. But the mobile application will be actually, with the paid version or the internal communication task management tool will update.
Mm-hmm.
So the officers out in the field can complete tasks, right? When they're out in the field, and the people or leadership back in the home base
Mm-hmm.
can send out those tasks.
Yeah.
So they can get it done, and they can keep track of everything and use that for maybe even raising money,
Mm-hmm.
right, for their department, which is a huge problem in first responder world, especially for like police, fire, all of them. So first responder world,
Yeah.
funding. Actually, recently, I think something with Seattle. The Seattle Police Department's like this close to being like shut down.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting money.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a problem nationally. So not only they can't really hire people. People aren't really coming out in troves to become police officers, but also funding. So we need them. We need police. We need firefighters, right?
Yeah.
So if that's a huge problem, if they're not getting funding, where's the protection going to be, right? So anyway, that's actually, I think, the best sum up of what we're doing, what our goal is, and our product, honestly.
So how did you create the product? Where did you guys start with that?
Oh, sure, right. That was a part of the original question. My bad. So back to Peter Coleman, right? Intractable conflict, 5%. So 5% of all conflicts are intractable, meaning they'll never end.
Yeah.
I studied criminal justice, marketing, and criminology, right? So and business, which marketing, business, whatever. Bunch of things. And I brought it all together into this idea of First Responders Live, but we started out with an application where we wanted to actually help communities communicate naturally, right, and better in a positive format. Through a mobile application, right? We tried doing a mobile app thing that way.
Who did you get to build your app?
So I have a team.
Okay.
I have founders.
Nice.
So yeah.
How many founders do you work with?
There's 2 others, so it's the 3 of us. Yeah, Will, Yo, and myself.
Yeah.
And they're way smarter than I am. So
how did you guys come together?
So actually through networking.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. That's actually a pretty cool story. But so we built this application. So we were trying to connect communities locally, but we tried to also message social media influencers to see if they would want to become a part of the change in their local community because they have such a large reach. And it didn't work out, and no offense to anyone, it was no one's fault but my own. I mean, I think it was something that I shot out too early, maybe not enough research or something like that. So bumps in the road that I hit, right?
Yeah.
And those were my mistakes. I actually have learned from them, and I just sent out a proposal to a pretty big company, and I did research beforehand.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like you should have done that anyway, James, but I'm also the kind of person who just goes after it, just let's go.
Which can be a good thing too, because sometimes people might be thinking they need to do too much prep and they're afraid to make that jump. So
that's exactly what I was trying to avoid.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you're like me, just make mistakes, screw up, whatever. Just do it, right? I think everybody hears that from everyone, but just seriously do it, right? Not to be Nike. But 3 times, right? But I saw that opportunity. I missed it, I think because I went too early. But I think it led me to what we're doing now. And I'm very happy with where we're at now. We're getting great feedback from police departments. I'm setting up, we just launched our product pretty much a month and a half ago. I've already set up meetings with 10 departments, and we have bites. People are biting that's...
How did you make the connections with the departments? Did you just start reaching out to them?
Research, get their email, send them an email.
Yeah. Did you have any trouble with trying to get, I assume that there's some type of gatekeeper at each office that takes all the communication in, and then they get to decide essentially we will pursue this?
That's a really good insight, right? Because that's B2B business. That's a lot we have to deal with when it comes to B2B sales. You have that gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Usually you have to just cut them out and just go right for the head, go right for the CEO or the chief of police. But police departments aren't really that bad about it. You just have to be really direct.
Yeah.
Right? This is what we're doing. This is what we want to do. This is how you're going to fit in. Do you want to meet? Right? Just real quick.
Yeah. That's really important. Sometimes people fluff things up. They don't get to the point.
And they don't understand. I actually messed up, and I got help from an officer who responded to me dude, you got to do better.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome.
That's great.
It was great.
That's great to have that mentorship, and that guidance to...
It was amazing, actually. He even was I hope you didn't take that the wrong. I was like, not at all. You don't even know who I am, bro. I want you to break me down, because that means I can get better. Iron sharpens iron, right? That whole idea. So you have to be able to take the credit, even if it hurts real deep. Yeah. Just listen, just take it.
Criticism is great because
it's great.
A lot of the times, if someone really doesn't care about you, they might not bother giving you any critique. But sometimes they want to give you criticism because they want you to get better at what you're doing. Yeah. So it's important to recognize that. Now, that's not to say there are some people that are just going to criticize you because they hate you.
And consistently do it.
But
even about it.
Even then, still listen. Make sure you're listening to what they're saying, even if it hurts. And because you can only get better from that.
That's right. Totally agree. And he did that for me. and already the marketing and the message, everything's better.
Yeah.
And people, I didn't realize this, okay? So I don't think people realize how busy police officers and police departments are. Like, we see them, they're in their car, they're hanging out. They're not just hanging out in their car. We see them on their phone. They're probably on the phone with someone from the department, right? Like, they're constantly working all the time. I mean, yeah, there are some small towns where they don't do too much because there's not a lot happening, there's not a lot of citizens, but man, I'll tell you what, a lot of those guys have a lot of stuff that they're working with, and they're constantly busy.
Yeah.
So you have to work around them, which is a challenge. And also the process of selling to government is super slow, which is why, another thing I learned, and this is a little tip for everybody else, if you're selling to government, find a way to sell to public or to private instead of public.
Yeah.
Right? Sell to a business. So we actually...
Yeah, it's good to have not necessarily a backup, but multiple
streams, yeah. But streams that are multiple that make sense together, so you're not like spreading yourself too thin.
Now,
right?
with the government, did you find, was there any regulations that you had to meet, in terms of accessibility or
Great question.
anything like that?
So I have a mentor, Justin, and he is a police officer in West Windsor. He's the man. He told me, he's like, hey, we should probably get this, or actually, somebody told me from Camden, you should get this approved by the Attorney General of New Jersey. I put it out on LinkedIn, like, hey, can somebody introduce me to the Attorney General of New Jersey? Justin hit me, I was like, why didn't you call me? And I was like, okay, cool. So he's like, I'll do it for you, I'll make the intro for you. He made the intro for me to the Attorney General's office. I'm gonna make that really clear. Attorney General's office. The Attorney General has like a bunch of second-hand men, right? Right-hand men's, whatever. Right-hand man. Anyway, and I got the introduction to that guy, and he went and spoke to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General said, that's a great idea. Go for it, pursue it. They're not breaking anything, not doing anything wrong. So I was like, okay, cool. So I got the approval in August. So that's why we really finished everything up alongside Camden. So I'm working with Camden Police. Shout out to you guys. Thank you. Lieutenant, you know who you are. He's the man. Yeah, he's really cool. But they gave the approval. We started reaching out, and now, again, we're getting those bites, and it makes me happy. But the sales process, to get back into that, is super long with government.
Oh, yeah.
So what I started to think about was, how can I help police to reach out to more residents locally? And one of the things I came up with was smart home security companies, right? And like a Ring or like a Nest or like one of those companies that have these pretty large reaches with residents locally. And I was like, what if we could get our updates put into apps like that, right? Now it's a stretch, it's a little bit of a reach goal, but that's just one of the companies that we can take our software that we built and implement it into.
Nice.
There's other things too that we want to do, and other companies we want to work with. I just sent out a proposal to a big company. I'm not going to say the name. There's no point. Because if it doesn't happen, I don't want to be like, oh, so what happened? And it's like, just want to save that conversation. But
I'll circle back to that one.
But it's already, 6 months down the road when it's like, whoa, First Responders Alive is doing this. It's like, yes, we are. That's the phantom I mentioned on this podcast, and I'll tell it. Anyway, hopefully in 6 months it'll be. That's actually the timeline I gave myself too.
Yeah.
6 months.
It's good to have those goals too.
Yeah.
Especially if ways to scale your business.
For sure.
Because a lot of people, they're like, all right, I have this great idea, and then it's like, all right, well, what's next? Yeah. Is that sustainable? Will the marketplace be, will you, what's the word I'm looking for? Will you saturate the market, and then what do you do? Sure. People want more. They want new features. But then also for you, you need to think about new clients that a new demographic for a market that you could be expanding to.
That's right. So actually, this is the goal, right? This is the plan. So we have a plan where we want to sell to a large company that can maybe give us some kind of income now, which is why I'm reaching out to X company, and meaning the company I'm not going to mention. But if that happens, that deal happens, a big deal. We go from 0 to hero in a matter of months, right? But then we'll have government on the back end trying to sell that task management tool, because again, it takes a long time. Yeah. So we will have that stream of income and allowing people to go out and sell to them and give them time, hey, can we talk about this, and not have to rush anything, because it'll make us look like assholes to government because they're slow, right? But we're small. We need the money. We have to kind of hurry things up. But that's where you go to the private sector for, right? Or those private companies. Private companies that could be public, I understand that too. And I'm like, oh, what about IPO? It's like, I understand, but consider that private. Anyway. So Yeah, that's why we have the two goals. They're both trying to help with police and help with building reputations and maybe aligning police with certain tools that they would be able to access and help the public out. But yes, I mean, like, there's really cool things like that. There's tons of opportunities out there that are beginning to grow in the private sector to actually connect the two. So,
nice.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to highlight too is the way you made that connection with the Attorney General. A lot of people don't know how to use LinkedIn properly.
Sure.
And it's not always connecting with the person that you want to know. It's connecting with someone that knows the person that you want to get connected with and get introduced to.
That's a good point.
It can be tough, especially with a big decision maker like the Attorney General or even just the Attorney General's office.
He's actually connected to me now, by the way.
Oh yeah, nice.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
But yeah, finding like that third connection with someone who knows them, and you reach out to them, and it might be easier to make the connection with them and be like, hey, build some rapport with them, and then hey, ask for the introduction, ask for an official introduction, not just like a blind LinkedIn,
a warm
request.
intro.
Yeah,
sure.
Having that warm introduction can make a huge difference and connect you with the right people. Granted, LinkedIn is getting spammed with job recruiters all the time. I get 5 inboxes a day like, hey, I have a great opportunity for you in the Philadelphia area. I'm like, oh man, if only these people understood. I mean, granted, I'm sure they're doing it because there are people, responding, but there's some really, useful and great ways to use LinkedIn, and James, made a great use of LinkedIn and used it properly in terms of making that connection with someone you don't know necessarily. Yeah,
totally. It was cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So tell me about how you were able to, your founders, how you guys came together, how you, started this together.
Yeah, so I forget the event, honestly. It was in Philly somewhere. It was a food event, I think. It was actually like food startups. And I was like, I like food. I'm going to go to this place.
Yeah.
Started networking, and actually Jedi knew and went to school with the one guy that I was talking to. And I was like, oh, hey,
Jedi knows everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And he's like, oh, Jedi? I was like, yeah. I mean, I didn't go to Drexel, but I feel like I did. I was always around and everything.
Yeah.
So we started talking more, and he's like, so what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm working here and blah, 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 but I also have this idea. Told him about the idea, this group of guys actually, and he's like, that's a cool idea. He's like, that's like a good thing. And I was like, yeah. He's like, I would want to be a part of that. I was like, yeah? He's like, for sure, let's talk more about it. That's Will. So Will and I started talking, and Will is probably one of the nicest people ever. By the way, when you have if you're building a startup team, anyone, go for people that are good people. Genuinely just nice, positive attitude, good people who you can trust. It's huge. Yeah. If you feel anything in your gut where that person's not honest or that person's like a little shifty and shady, do not go and work with them at all.
Yeah.
Because they would not mind screwing you over, right?
Yeah. Recognize those signs and
listen to your gut.
Yeah.
Right? So it's literally as simple as that. And so he's a really great guy. We got along really well. And we started building, right? So I kind of taught myself some code, not the best. And obviously, we got another guy, Yo. So Will actually introduced me to Yo and introduced the idea to Yo. And he was like, this is cool. He was like, and I like you guys. Let's do this. So, and Yo's a cool guy too. Yo's actually probably one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Yeah. Actually. So the fact that I was lucky enough to get in contact with probably the nicest person ever, and then get in contact with one of the smartest / also nicest people ever. Yeah. Was just that's a sign that we have to work together. We talk about it, dude, this has to work. And actually, we're believing that this product that we're building now, first off, we know exactly the path to money. We know how we're going to be able to make it. We have a great product that people are biting on. Yeah. So
you guys have set up a monetization plan,
right?
And that's a big thing. I've run into a lot of startup founders. They're like, they have this great idea, and I ask them how are you going to monetize? Yeah. And then they sit there and they're like, well, it's like that. You can't build a business unless you can make money off it.
That's right.
No one goes into business just to give their time. So you got to make sure you know how to monetize it, whether it's, start with freemium and then have, higher tier options, paid options. Sure. If you're building an app, there's in-app purchases, there's advertisement space that you can sell.
There's also another way, which a lot of people ignore, and that's the API way, where if you have a product that you built really cool software for, and you can plug yourself into other places and sell your API to them, and then every time that they call whatever it is, this is software standpoint, whatever data it is, you charge them per gigabyte, right? Like
that
a
data,
Twilio model.
that data collection that you're
for sure
you're building up is valuable to a lot of people, and you might not realize that, but data manages everything around us anymore.
Yeah.
And with AI technologies coming out, companies want more and more data, so you can sell the data that you're collecting through your app.
Yeah, for sure. Data sales as well is huge, right? Data collection tools are huge. Because they can lead to money or lead to better insights, which lead to money, right? So that's the whole point of data. So, but even still, like I think API calls is a really smart way to go to, especially if you built a really niche product.
Yeah.
For a niche market, that could be something huge. So
yeah,
that's just another insight. So
yeah. So James, what was give me one example of like a huge roadblock that you hit. Like one of the biggest struggles that you and your founders experienced.
Definitely when we realized that our first product was just not working out.
Yeah.
It wasn't a loss of positivity. It was a loss of, or more of a transition from, we have something theoretical or hypothesized, I should say, not theoretical, but hypothesized that will work, right? And data supports that, right? Supported that there is going to be tension local. I mean, look everywhere now, there's tension all around the United States, all around the world, right? And but data does say that things are getting better, like violence is dropping everywhere. I mean, New York City just had for the first time ever, I think, a whole weekend where there were no gunshots fired, right? or any killings or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's a city of millions of people. It's also one of the safest cities in the world right now.
Yeah.
And actually they attest their success to social media. And using social media really well. I mean, they have a huge department, like 30,000 plus, police officers, but it's the largest police department in the world. But they really do a lot with social media, which is something I studied, something I put out, something that I'm talking about. And it was cool to hear that New York City believes the same thing. But anyway, so the trouble that we ran into was when we realized that the first product was not doing well.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like, well, shit, what are we going to do? I sat back and I saw, I was like, wait a second. This first responders live. This is a market like police and firefighters and all other first responders, including like road workers, all those guys that respond to like something that's down, like a pole or a natural disaster or something like that. All of those people that go out are first responders, right? That's something. First responders aren't just police and fire. But anyway, so we saw that they needed help communicating with the public, so we went and we're like, let's go after this market. This is the market. We talked to police, we talked to people, and like, yeah, we really need to do this. We really need to like improve our relationships. We don't really know how. And so they don't really know how to use like social media or what to put out. I have a whole strategy, and I believe personally it needs to be more personal. They need to talk about not only safety tips and stuff like that for people, but talk about local sports, right? You guys are local. Prove it. Right? Like talk about the high school kids that are doing well, talk about the football player, talk about the hobbies that you're into if you're a woodworking police officer.
Yeah.
Like build something and show people what you built, right? Like get yourself ingrained into the community that way. I think it would be incredible.
Did you do any research or just somewhat like type polling to just get feedback from the public and from people that would think that you thought that might find this useful?
So it's actually marketing 101 is what it is. I mean, like you see it successful everywhere on the internet when people are more of themselves. It freaking works, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone pays attention at that point and likes the person that's putting their face out there in a nice, kind way.
Yeah.
That's just marketing 101, right? Being honest and open.
And that personal, people value that human aspect.
Exactly.
And that's why there's millions of YouTubers that have millions of subscribers, and someone just sits in front of a camera and eats fast food every day, and but they're connecting with people. There's that personal connection that people can relate with.
Yes.
And that's huge.
Exactly.
And that's something people are valuing more, even as
become a leader. Become a real leader, a natural person who's just be yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And then exude your own confidence that way. Right? Just show up constantly. Right? Just if you're failing constantly, just show up anyway. Right? Like just like, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am. And the police right now, they're not failing necessarily, right? But they need help, and they need to put themselves out there as like, we are humans too. And please see that. And this is what we do also when we're on our off time or like on the road. I mean, like you see officers doing that. There's actually a great example. Jason Gadron from Logan, Ohio, Policing for Our Community. Go to that Facebook page, check it out. It's really cool. It's like live PD almost. He literally has a camera. This is our long term down the road, like 10 years maybe. Or there's a camera where an officer can go live within his car and just give a quick update like that, right? And maybe even live stream 5-10 minutes of his ride.
People appreciate that
virtual ride-alongs.
That puts them in, that gives them a lot of context as to what is going on.
What's going on?
Them. Yeah.
Back in 2013, San Antonio Police Department chief of police actually did a virtual ride-along. It was killer. People loved it. They only did it one time.
Yeah.
What? It works.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there a little bit, right? I'm not saying to, show them exactly where you are. There's not going to be any GPS data or whatever. Like, oh, they're right here, because I understand that they also can be killed. That's reality.
Yeah.
Okay. That's their job.
Yeah,
they can be killed.
The safety aspect.
Of course, for sure.
Respected. But
that to me can be mitigated in certain ways. Like if we work with you more, we can figure out how to mitigate that. But anyway, that's a long-term goal. That's just like the vision for us. And that's and also to back up a little bit, the roadblocks were we failed and we had to figure out a way to work it with still the same vision of improving communities locally. So we never gave up on that vision, because that's what brought us together as a group, Willie Yo and I. That's what brought us together, and that's what we're focused on. So
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, James, we're coming down to the end of the video here. We offer all of our startup founders a little shameless plug. You can give a little promotion about your product, where people can find it, how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, I would actually like to do 2 plugs. Okay. So first plug is firstresponsderslive.com. Go there, check it out. Especially for you police officers, please check it out, guys. I think you'll like what we're doing. And we're also open to talk to you about any kind of social media ideas or needs or anything. To connect with your communities, even event ideas. I have some ideas. Also, Project Refit. It's a nonprofit. I know it's like going way out in left field or whatever, but I have a nonprofit called Project Refit. Just realized how important it is. Probably this weekend, actually, it was on Saturday. I was at a Halloween party. A friend of mine hit me up. It was I have a veteran, a friend of mine that's in crisis. And what we do on Project Refit is we built a video chat platform for veterans to talk to one another. And to kind of promote mental health awareness. And he's like, do you have any contacts and help this kid out? And I was like, 100%. I immediately got in my car and left. I was like, yo, I got to go. We're in the middle of actually editing my girlfriend's photos. And we're talking about it. And I got that text, like, I'm done. I got to go. Right? So if you're a veteran, you need help, you want to talk to someone, I do have some contacts, but I want to build my network. So please, if you're a mental health professional, reach out to me at j@projectrefit.us. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as well, Project Refit.
We'll include links to all that in the description of the
great.
video, so people can find you guys directly. So.
Awesome, I appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for tuning in today. This was James Corbett with First Responders Live and Project Refit. These are both really cool applications. And services that are really benefiting the public, and they'll have some really great social impact. So James, thanks again for being on today.
Of course, my pleasure. It was awesome.
Cool.
All right, see you everyone.